ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. On today's episode, we're going to talk about survival. Or as a lot of people know it, when shit hits the fan. The great boogaloo, whatever you want to call it. When civilization collapses. And how you survive is going to completely depend on what your objectives are during that time. If your entire goal is to just stick the hell away from everything, my recommendation would be some kind of self-defense handgun, 9.45, something in that neighborhood, and a pistol caliber carbine in the same caliber as your everyday carry. Because then you don't have to worry about trying to collect and keep track of multiple forms of ammunition. Both 45 and 9mm are ample supply. And within 100 yards, perfectly capable of putting down anything you pointed at, be it human or critter for food. Is it ideal for any of those jobs? No. But this is civilization has collapsed. Ideal is not going to be a part of our lives. Preferably something, and this is going to be a fairly controversial one for me just because I don't particularly care for Glock. I'm a Springfield guy. They'll all get the job done, but Glock, the aftermarket for Glock is just better. It really is. The fanboys have turned that into a very, very, very powerful aftermarket. And so preferably something that'll take Glock mags. And you'll be good. You'll always be able to find what you need. And start learning to use a bow or crossbow. Because eventually, if things don't improve, the magic fire dust will go away. And we'll have to start throwing pointy sticks again. Because I can reload my own ammunition. I don't know how to make a primer. And I don't know how to make my own fire dust. Everything else I can do. But those two things I don't know how to do. So if it gets to that point, a sharp pointy stick thrower is what you're going to need to be able to use. Get yourself some kind of training in close range self-defense, 100 yards-ish. There are those of us who are trained to engage out to 1,000 yards. And we can do it all day long, twice on Sunday with no real issues, especially if you give us a bolt gun. But if you're just trying to stay out of it, you don't need that ability. What you will need is the ability to protect yourself against somebody trying to raid you. And at 100 yards, that's reasonable. So 100 yards and in, some building clearing, maybe a shotgun would be a good choice. Shotgun you can load with slugs and get out to 100 yards if you really, really need to. Or you can load with buck on a rifled barrel and have one heck of an open-up experience and ruin somebody's day at close range. Learn the differences between your different shotgun barrels. You've got barrels with irons or scope mount capable, which means you could put a red dot on one. There are a lot of options out there when it comes to a shotgun. I don't personally prefer them for home defense, and it's because of training in the environments I've trained in. I like having things short range enough that I can tuck it nice and tight just in case. As far as effective goes, it doesn't matter what anybody else out there says. The most effective one is the weapon you are most skilled with. The weapon you are most effective with. The weapon you train most with. I'd recommend having a knife that you know and trust. Now, that being said, if it comes down to knife fighting, it's going to be a rough day. Knives come out, everybody gets cut. Everybody bleeds. I was talking to a guy, knife fight instructor. He didn't even like getting into knife fights because everybody bleeds. Nobody wins in a knife fight. So, avoid knife fights if you can. Have a knife more as a tool than as a weapon. I carry a knife with me every day. I don't carry it as a weapon. It's a personal hygiene tool. It's a getting into packages tool. It's not for combat. I don't carry it for that reason. Could I use it in a pinch if I had to? Yeah, I could. Are there tools I'd much rather use? Yeah, a collapsible baton. At least give me a wee bit better reach. And a collapsible baton, everybody's likely to walk away from that one. Which is a better outcome than anybody not walking away. Those of you who think 22 is a valid shit hits the fan caliber. If shit hits the fan for only a couple of years, yes, I could agree with that. They're an effective little cartridge. You better be well trained with it. You better know your weapon manual. You better be able to run that gun efficiently. Because if you do end up in a gunfight with the silly little thing, it could get real spicy real quick, especially if you do come up on one of the few dud rounds that 22 is known to have. Any of those rimfire cartridges, they're known for the duds. Ammunition reliability is one of their greatest weaknesses. That being said, ammunition reliability has come a long way since it got that reputation. 22s are much more reliable than they used to be. But if you do end up defending yourself with it, you better be good with that piece of equipment. Night visions, thermal. Again, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be going out there trying to fix the problem? Going out there, getting into it with whatever hostile force is out there? Is that going to be your objective? If so, night vision, thermal, shit like that might be pretty fucking useful. If that is not your goal, if your goal is to just bug out and survive, that is a lot of extra weight that you probably won't end up using. Because not only do you gotta carry whatever object you choose, be it night vision, thermal, or both, you now have to carry a supply of batteries for the goofy things. You have to know how to effectively use them. And what does that take? More training. Having all the equipment in the world will not make you more safe. Knowing how to use the equipment you carry will make you more safe. And knowing that the more equipment you have, the less mobile you are. The 22 guys have a point. A 22 is small, it's light, and you can carry a ton of ammo for the goofy little things. Will it be the most effective way to get into a fight with somebody? No. Will it get you food when you need it to? Yeah. Again, that comes down to know what you plan on doing. There will be guys out there who their entire objective will be simply to avoid conflict. 22 is probably the best thing you can carry. Because you can put a suppressor on those goofy little things and shoot as quiet, if not quieter, than a crossbow. And anything within 100 yards with anybody who's real good with their 22 is going to be in very much harm's way. But if you think you're going to be one of those guys going out there and mixing it up with whatever hostile forces out there, trying to help get this country back to where it needs to be, then a 22 is not the right weapon for you. Knowing your limitations is going to be vital. Mount, CQB, the interior building stuff, whatever you want to call that. CQC, I think, is another term for it nowadays. All of that is probably the most dangerous part of any combat scenario. The hardest part. And the only way to get real good at that is to have a lot of training in a massive variety of locations with oppositional forces. With dummy ammo. It is the only way to get truly good at that. And even the best gunfighters in the world will tell you, mount is just, it's a bad day. Because the slightest mistake, the slightest miscalculation, one missed detail, and it's game over. So, if you don't have the time, money, and equipment to properly train that capability, I wouldn't recommend getting into that. Long-range precision shooter is a hell of a lot easier to train than mount. Now, the stalking portion, sniper work, truly stalking a target, getting within shooting range without being seen, all that, yeah, that's hard. It's very difficult. But DMR work, being able to reach out to 1,000 yards, sling 2 or 3 rounds and drop a target permanent, that's not that bad. 1,000 yards with a 308, 6.5 Creed, pick your poison, is not an incredibly difficult job. Another thing a lot of people fail to take into consideration, medics. If you're going to go out there and mix it up with people, having gunfighters is important. Having people who can plug the holes that get put in you is just as important, if not more important. So pick somebody, anybody, and make sure they get at least basic hole plugging training. How to apply, everybody should have how to apply a tourniquet. Everybody should have how to pack a wound. How to seal a sucking chest wound. Everybody should have those ones, period. But somebody who has basic training in human anatomy, how to get to one of the big blood pipes, designated to carry the heavy equipment that comes with being a medic, knows how to give an IV, has some basic understanding of the drugs that might need pushed. Have somebody medically trained within your crew. It will save lives. Every military unit out there goes out with medical staff. We typically call them Doc. Doc is probably the most defended guy on the battlefield. Don't fuck with Doc. Just ask the fat electrician. We know how important that guy who plugs the wounds is. He's more important than the guys who can sling bullets. Have yourself a guy who can train or who can do medical stuff. If you don't have one now, start building one or become one. You become the most valued guy on the team. Anyway, this video is getting a little long. Way longer than I intended. But at the end of the day, folks, there's a lot to this. That people think it's just put on the tactical gear and go play. No, it's not. There's a hell of a lot more to it. There's target identification. If you're going out playing in the dark, where are your friends? Where are your foes? Shit hits the fan, chances are we aren't all uniformed. So know who you're engaging. Have comms figured out. We probably won't have encrypted comms, so radios will not be secured. Maybe working out hand-in-arm signals will be of vital importance. At least some basic ones, so that you can communicate with your guys without giving away everything. I don't know if smoke will be overly important, but you never know. Chem lights are fucking great. They are a great way to communicate in the dark. Because you got different colors that you can use, and you've got different ways you can configure them. But again, that comes down to figuring out what you and your crew are going to do. You can use chem lights as range markers. You can use them to communicate. We had nighttime wolf tails that we used for communicating without comms while I was in the Army. There's options. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Put some thought into this, my fine folks. It's going to, if it comes down to that, it's going to be ugly. And you're going to need to be prepared. Find yourself a friend who can help you learn a thing or two. Most of us who can teach you don't have many paper certifications that we ourselves carry. I've got none. still hold my own. I have sought individual training from medical personnel and snipers and standard grunts. I was a standard grunt. And I've even had a few SF guys I've made friends with. Old timer style and some new timers. Different countries. Find yourself a friend. Learn. Realize that not everybody on the internet knows what they're talking about. Hell, don't take me at my word. That's why I'm telling you to go out and learn. And don't trust everybody who says they were some kind of high-end operator. There are guys of my training level who think they were the God's gift to the military. And they're just as full of shit as anybody else. Don't trust them. Be safe. Get trained. God bless.